Recording now. All right, so I will go ahead and hand it off to Irma.
Hi, everyone. As Jay said, my name is Irma Moreno. I'm with formerly the Career Center. We are now called the Berkeley Career Engagement, which is really new. And you'll hear me say Career Center a lot. I'm still trying to adjust to the name. So I'm sorry, Jay, you have to either share your screen or stop sharing your computer sound. Okay, so let me go ahead and do the slideshow here. So I think that pretty much everybody can see my screen. And this is just an overview of pre-health, and I did include some pre-health careers in there besides medicine, because many of you may be interested in other things other than medicine. Some of you were exploring and trying to decide what it is you really want to do. So let's move on. So we're going to go ahead and talk about pre-health careers. I'm going to provide you with some general information, some med school information, vet school, and nursing. I can also talk a little bit about PA. It's not really that far off. One thing you'll notice is that all these pre-health careers, or all these health careers, medicine, veterinary medicine, nursing, and PA, all have very different requirements. So it's not that easy to pivot from one to the other, but it can be done. If you find yourself interested in PA programs and then decide, well, nursing is maybe the route that I want to go, then you could go ahead and pivot and do that. We'll discuss extracurricular activities, gap year or years, and resources, and provide you with some Q&A. And if you want to put your questions in the chat, you're welcome to do that. Or we can wait till the end and you can unmic yourself and then unmute yourself and then go ahead and ask the question. So pre-health careers, what does that include? Here pretty much. If there are any that I'm not including here, but medicine is a big one with our students at Cal. So it was dentistry, pharmacy, physical therapy, optometry, physician's assistant, nursing, occupational therapy, podiatry, and veterinary medicine. For a lot of Rausser students, veterinary medicine and nursing seem to be careers that those students from that particular college really seek, aside from medicine. So one thing that I want to really emphasize, that grades are super important for all those careers. Strong GPAs encouraged for all of them, although a 4.0 is not necessary. So many times I get students that say, well, I don't have a 4.0, I have a 3.8, which is still really a good GPA. And I wanted to go into nursing instead, which is a strong GPA for nursing. But if you come to me with a very low GPA for medicine, it's probably still very low for PA programs or for nursing or veterinary medicine. So throughout this process, just remember, especially freshmen and even seniors, to ask for help. You're not alone in this. There are people that have a lot of resources available, whether it's Jay, myself, any of your other advisors. And always ask. Someone's bound to know. And sometimes if we don't know, we will ask each other, or we will try to help you out and look for the resource that is necessary. So always feel free to come to us for clarification. Again, if I don't know something, I might call Jay, or Jay might call me, or we'll call somebody else to try to determine which way for you to go. And remember that flexibility is super important. Life doesn't always go according to plan. So especially for freshmen and sophomore, you all come to me and say, oh, look, I have a 4-year plan. And while that's really great to have that 4-year plan, it's really good to set goals, especially students I find interested in pre-health, like to have everything planned out. That's the type of students you are. you have to be flexible with that because life does happen. I mean, and COVID is a great example of that, when we all had to pack up one March in 2020 and go home, and the world, just turned upside down for every one of us. So again, flexibility is important. You may have to take a class out of turn, or you can't get in a class. It's not the end of the world. And for any of these programs, whether they're nursing, medicine, dentistry, veterinary medicine, your major is not important. What is important is having a strong GPA and a desire to pursue that career. You can major in whatever it is you want to major in. So just remember that. So here's some general information here. The pass, not pass courses that are required for certain programs. So if biology is required for the program you're interested in, say dental school or a pharmacy school, those cannot be taken pass, not pass. Most of those grad programs want you to have a grade in those classes. There are really no exceptions to that. It really matters whether you have a grade or not. If you don't have a grade, then you're going to have to plan on retaking that class for a grade. So looking at schools right now, if you're a freshman or a sophomore, not so much if you're a senior, knowing that requirements do change from time to time, from year to year. Also, what changes is the students they let in. So this year, I think the lowest a school, say a medical school, might have taken is a 3.2, but next year, maybe it goes up to a 3.4, or it goes lower down to a 3.1. So every year things change, and you have to be mindful of that. So most schools, medical and other health professions, are not concerned with the amount of units you take in a semester. Many questions, I get this question all the time, I am only at 13 units or 14 units. How is that going to look? Or I'm going to reduce course load of 8 units. All of that is good as long as you can manage the course load. And managing is what's important here. So if you feel that you can manage 14 units, that's great. If you're taking 17 or 18, that's a problem. For me anyway. I want to see that you can manage that course load. Because most of the time you're not just taking classes, you're either working or you're doing research or you're involved in some type of club. So that takes up time. I get really concerned when I hear students carrying more than, say, 15 units. It's not recommended. Having a double major or a minor does not necessarily make you more competitive for a grad program. You want to make sure you do well, and that's the most important thing. So if having one major and you're doing well and you're a 3.7 or a 3.8, that's great. If you have a double major and you're at a lower score, like a 2.9, maybe, focusing on one major instead of 2 majors is the best way to go. Community college courses are okay to take for the non-sciences. So English and math, stats, or psych, but not the science requirements. And again, the exception here are transfer students. Transfer students will have taken a lot of these science courses, or they should have, before coming to Berkeley. But for most programs, that is the case. Now, there are some programs that do require courses like, say, veterinary medicine requires animal nutrition, nursing, developmental psych. Those courses are not found at Cal. So taking them at a community college is perfectly fine. And it is really preferred because, again, it's not offered at Cal, so you're going to have to find a place to take them. AP courses. So schools vary on the acceptance of AP or IB courses, and most schools do not accept AP or IB for science courses, but they might for English or math. Again, this is very school specific, and schools do change their mind frequently about the acceptances of AP and IB. During the pandemic, this became a little bit looser, and they started accepting more of these type of courses. So that helpful to students. I think that has remained in place, but again, it changes frequently and it is very school specific. So transfer students, if there are any in the group, all coursework taken at community college is calculated for your overall GPA when you apply to grad school, whether it's med school or other programs. Same for activities or jobs that you may have had when you were in community college. All of that is really incorporated into the application. So there's no need to take prereq courses. Sometimes students feel that they have to show that they can manage Berkeley's course load, but taking those upper division courses at Cal as a transfer student is showing already the skill that you can manage those courses. So here's med school required courses. So these are real important for medical school only. The 1 year of biology with lab, bio 1A and 1B, 1 year of physics with lab, 7A and B or 8A and B. And some students take 7A and then take 8B. That's also acceptable as long as you do 1 full year with lab. Most schools are okay with that. Our chemistry sequence is very unique to Berkeley, and all the chemistry has to be either taken at Berkeley. If it's not all taken at Berkeley, then you would have to add Chem 1B. So Chem 1A, 3A, 3B, all with lab, and MCB 102 is the series here at Berkeley. You notice that students don't take Chem 1B. So most, I think all medical schools are okay with that particular sequence. There are sometimes changes in personnel and admissions directors at various institutions, and we do provide them with some information in a letter as to why UC Berkeley has chosen this chemistry sequence. Actually, I am providing some of that information to a medical school this particular week. And there's somebody new, and a lot of the admissions committee is new, so they're not familiar with our chem series. So I'm working with the chem department to take care of that. If chemistry is new to you, hopefully starting with Chem 32 is a good way to start. Upper division biology course of your choice, and this is important for folks at Rausser because you may not, MCB IB students have to take upper division biology courses, but other schools do not. So the upper division bio course is important for California residents for UC Irvine. UC Irvine does require an upper division bio course. And if you are an Arizona resident and will be applying to medical school in Arizona, that requires a bigger conversation because they do require a lot more upper division biology. They require histology or immunology, a couple other courses like psychology, sociology, English. They don't surprisingly require organic chemistry, but they do require physiology. So it's kind of different. That state is different. But again, if you're not an Arizona resident and you choose not to apply to those 2 Arizona medical schools, that's okay. You're okay. Majors like engineering, chemistry, and other majors have variations of these requirements. So they may not start with Chem 1A and 3A. They would start with something else, probably 4A and 12A and B. The recommended courses are 1 year of English, 1 semester of math, and 1 of calculus, or actually, it's 1 semester of math, calculus, and 1 semester and 1 semester 1 semester of psych, social, or anthro is also recommended just because it is on the MCAT, and the MCAT is important if you're applying to medical school. Same with biochemistry and physics and biology. Those are all really important for the MCAT. So veterinary medicine, a lot of the students that apply to veterinary medicine come from Rausser. Actually, I've never met a student applying to vet medicine that is not a Rausser student. And as you can see, there's a list of courses there. I think the biggest one that you have to be aware of is that general chemistry is with lab for 1 year. So that includes Chem 1A and 1B. Chem 1A and 1B are a must for veterinary medicine. Again, animal nutrition is something that is not offered at Berkeley and must be taken at a community college or a different type of program. Public speaking is not offered at Berkeley, so that's also something that needs to be taken outside of Berkeley. These are general course requirements, but every school has some specific requirements. And for veterinary medicine, I would say most students do not take a gap year and go straight into veterinary medicine. It is very competitive, and it's not so much the reason it's competitive because there are so few veterinary schools in the United States. Many of our students apply abroad to Scotland, England, and Australia. So they also recruit out here in the Bay Area, those schools that are abroad. So students do apply to about maybe 10 schools when they apply to veterinary medicine. But you do want to check every school that you want to apply to, make sure that you're covering everything. So again, organic chemistry, physiology, genetics, physics, biochem, math, stats, English, and psychology as well. Nursing requirements. Nursing, again, the students that I get from Rausser want to pursue nursing. Nursing requirements, again, 1 full year of general chemistry. That includes 1A and 1B. 1 year of biology, microbiome, anatomy, physio. This lifespan, human development psych, and oral communication, those 2 courses are not offered at Berkeley. A lot of nursing programs do require them, so that means attending junior college or community college in order to fulfill those requirements. For PA programs, a lot of the coursework is very similar. The Chem 1A, 1B, the bio, microbiology, anatomy, physiology, stats, English, and psych. The only courses that are not required are this lifespan and sociology and oral communication. Some schools for PA programs, not nursing, for PA programs like USC, prefer students that have Spanish as well. So exams, the exams that you'll need to take for medical school, it's the MCAT, and that is offered throughout the year with the exception of like 4 months out of the year. It requires students to register like almost 6 months in advance. There are a lot of people taking the MCAT. The DAT, the DAT, the dental school exam, that exam is offered several times during the year as well. What's nice about the DAT, I mean, it's not nice taking the exam, but you do get your results once the exam is finished, whereas with the MCAT and the GRE or other exams, you may have to wait 4 weeks in order to get your results, and it can be pretty nerve-wracking. So the GRE for veterinary medicine and for the MCAT are also important for physical therapy. It could be required as well. Some veterinary programs accept MCAT scores for their programs, but most of them GRE. Although some programs are doing away with the GRE. Again, during the pandemic, they moved away from it. Some of them haven't gone back to it. Same with the PA programs. Some of them moved away from requiring a GRE, and hopefully it'll stay that way. I'm not exactly 100% sure that it will. The other one that is not included here in this list is the pharmacy exam, which is the PCAT. And that's because in California and in many other states, they've done away with that exam. So you just apply to pharmacy school straight out without really taking an exam. They didn't substitute it with the GRE or anything else. They just got rid of the standard exam for that school, for that type of school. Extracurricular activities. So all these programs, whether it's nursing, medicine, PA, really encourage students to take up extracurricular activities. So other, health profession programs in medical school don't require you do research. I think it's really helpful if you're going into optometry, dentistry, pharmacy, medicine, or veterinary medicine to try research, and it could be any type of research: animal research, insect research, lab research, psych research. For medical school, any of these would apply. Of course, for veterinary medicine, it is nice to have any type of animal research in your application, but it's not required. And it is hard to find, so it's not that easy. But if research is something that you're really interested in doing, applying for URAP is a great way to gain that experience. So being on the lookout for things that interest you and things you may want to research. So most get into medical and veterinary programs with absolutely no research, but again, encouraged. There are summer research programs, and I know Rausser has a particular summer research program open to Rausser students. Is it SPUR, Jay? Or, yeah, SPUR. Shadowing. So shadowing is not required for medical school, but is definitely required for other health professions. Dental schools require, the least I've seen is 25 to 50 hours, and the maximum is about 100 hours. Veterinary medicine, it's about the same. I think the least I've seen is about 30 hours with a maximum of 100. It depends on the school. And PT programs definitely require shadowing experience. Most of them require, I think they require a minimum of 50, but in order to be competitive, you want to have a lot more than that. So again, hours are very school specific, and you always want to add to what they have out there. PA programs, they require between 500 to 3,000 hours. So PA programs really, to enter a PA program, you may want to take 1 to 2 years off as a gap year and work full time as a medical assistant or as a scribe sometimes, EMT, in order to gain that experience, because that's what they want to see. So each school determines what is considered patient experience. For some schools, scribing for physician's assistance programs would qualify as patient care. For other schools, it would not. So it's important to determine what each school really is looking for ahead of time. I wouldn't say when you're a freshman, but definitely when you're a sophomore, junior, start putting a spreadsheet together. This program requires this amount of hours, and how you get it, and what qualifies as patient care experience. So PA programs require a little bit more attention to those patient care experience hours. So continuing on with extracurricular activities, clinical and leadership are really important for most of those health professions. And leadership activities do not have to be health related. So if you're the head of a ASUC group or a particular environmental group or some type of pre-dense society or the pre-PA group, that's great. That's a leadership activity, and all these schools really look for you to have leadership activity. So participating in activities you enjoy and sticking with them, making sure that you have you don't have certain hours. Of course, for dental programs, for PA programs, you will have those shadowing hours that you need. But as far as leadership experience, you don't need a certain amount of it. You just need to have a year of it, 2 years of it, again, doing things that you enjoy so that you are sticking with them. Taking on those positions in leadership is important. Shadowing is not clinical experience. So if you're just shadowing a physician and you're a fly on the wall, that's great, but that doesn't really show a medical school that you've done something. So taking on a scribing position is still a shadowing position, but it allows you to have more experience, to learn terminology, to meet patients, to take down notes, to interact with the physician a little bit more than shadowing. One thing we do not have, and people ask us this all the time, is that we do not have a database of clinical activities on hand. What I would do is check out our local hospitals. URAP also has some positions available with Summit, with the Patient Support Corps at UCSF. There's health advocates at UCSF and at Highland Hospital in Oakland. Around campus, the Alzheimer's of the East Bay, and there's also Children's Hospital. There are a couple different places around campus where you might be able to gain some of those clinical experiences, whether it's in nursing that you want to do, or whether it's medicine or dentistry. The Berkeley Free Clinic has a dental clinic, so you can always gain experience there. For veterinary programs, I would say participating in a local animal shelter, getting that experience, working with others and around animals is really important. I know the Oakland Zoo sometimes takes volunteers, as does the Marine Mammal Center in Marin. So looking at different opportunities that may exist locally. So students will take a year or two off between medical and dental programs, but less so, like I said, for veterinary medicine. For veterinary medicine, most of our students go straight through, or they try to go straight through. Sometimes with veterinary medicine, it requires more than one application. You may have to reapply the second year if you don't get in the first year. It is, like I said, very competitive, and it's because the schools are small and there's so few of them. PA or PT programs require a good number of patient care experience hours before submitting an application, so it would be impossible to complete all these during the 4 years at Cal. PA more so than PT, but both of them require a number more. They actually have a number of hours that they require. Sometimes it's hard to do everything, and taking an extra year or two may be useful, and it's totally okay. The average age of a first-year medical student, for example, is 26 years of age. And I'd say for PET and PA programs, it's a lot older than that. So here's some resources. So we have the Office of Undergraduate Research, which is the UREP application. If you want to participate in UREP, my suggestion is always start with the peer advisors there. They have great peer advisors that can help you put together a cold email, tell you when it's a good time to submit a cold email to a professor. It's not every day of the year. It's not every time. They have certain specific times that they recommend for students. The other thing is that they can help you develop your UREP application and maybe suggest other areas where you might be able to find some research. The Student Learning Center, again, getting assistance when needed from. If you're struggling and you need help, there's always the Student Learning Center. Academic advisors like Jay and others that are at Rausser are great resources, as are your peer advisors. The Career Engagement Center, which is us, and the Berkeley Career Engagement Center. Okay. Oasis Center. So that's where a lot of the pre-health activities exist, and you might be able to find some activities there that interest you. Again, if you're into veterinary medicine, I would definitely suggest the pre-vet club, the pre-dental club, and the nursing society, I think it's called. A lot of these groups, what they do is they bring alumni or people in that particular area, whether it's a nurse or a veterinarian, to speak to students about their journey to that particular career. And so you're able to ask questions. I know for the pre-dental society, a lot of dentists really encourage students to hit them up for shadowing. So it's a great way to meet others, like-minded people, and find out about other resources out there. So we provide a newsletter through our office, which is the Health and Medicine newsletter, and you can sign up using Handshake. So Handshake is the portal that can get you an appointment at the Berkeley Career Engagement. If you're interested in attending any of our workshops, you're free to go ahead and come into our workshops. We have next Wednesday, for example, we have what is called a snack and chat. And that is really a time for you to come in and have your resume reviewed. So if you're interested in applying to jobs, this coming fall, or to internships for the summer. You may want to talk to somebody about getting a resume together. So that's happening next Wednesday. We have various career fairs. And so this tool or this newsletter will not just share with you the health and pre-health information, but also other activities going on, not just at the Berkeley Career Engagement, but at other parts of campus as well, when we have that information. So people send us information all the time. We try to share as much as possible, but Handshake is the way you would go about and register for this. One thing is that we don't meet with freshmen at the Berkeley Career Engagement. We do meet with freshmen during drop-in hours, and I'll display those in a minute. But you are, as freshmen, open to attend any workshops we have, any networking events that we have. So next Wednesday as well, we're having in the evening from 5 to 7 a workshop for first gen. It's called First Gen in Helping Careers. So if you want to meet alumni that are in helping careers and are we're first gen students at Berkeley, there will be a panel, and it's we as the Career Engagement put it together, but there are some organizations on campus that are facilitating a panel discussion, and then you get the opportunity to meet individually with various alumni. So tomorrow, the networking event is around data and computer science. So a lot of alumni in those fields. So we have different events where you can come in and network, you have your resume checked, etc. We also have a photo booth. So if you want a professional headshot for your LinkedIn account, for an application to medical school or dental school, you have to provide a photo. That's a great way to get it done. It's free, and you can drop in any day from 9 to 4 and come into the reception and have your picture taken. And actually, you are the one, it's a booth, and you type in your email address and take your pictures, and it gets sent to your email address. So these are our drop-in hours. So Hugo, my colleague, drops in starting September 5th at Mulford, right next to Jay's office from 1:30 to 3:30. He's there every Tuesday, starting the 5th and probably ending, I believe it's in the first week of December, right before Dead Week. And then I'm located 9:30 to 11:30 on Thursdays at VLSB, 360 VLSB. So here we are. Questions?
Thanks so much, Irma. So all the links that you had mentioned and shared in your presentation, I put those into the chat. There was a question, but it looks like it was answered during your presentation. There's a question about SPUR. Yes, SPUR is only offered to Rausser students. So it makes for a smaller pool to compete with. If you are a Rausser student, then rather than compete with the entire university, now you're only competing with Rausser students. So that's a great opportunity to get involved in research. Irma, could you speak to, actually, sorry, before we get to some questions, I did want to share a resource sheet for art Rausser majors that typically do pursue and fulfill pre-health requirements. So I'll just quickly share my screen, and then we'll go back into questions. This one. Okay. And I can share all of this, this document as well as the recording. And then if Irma, it's okay, I could share the presentation as well in an email to all Rausser students. So you can see majors within our college that typically pursue pre-health grad programs or career pathways are nutritional science, genetics and plant biology, microbial biology, molecular environmental biology, environmental science, a little less so, but there are some environmental science students that pursue that. And then conservation and resource studies are interdisciplinary major. So requirements that are typically fulfilled by these majors across the board, it's usually like calculus or some form of math, some aspect, or if not all aspects of chemistry, the full series of biology, if not at least one semester of biology plus a lab. So there's a lot of the lower division requirements that can be satisfied with these majors for a lot of the different pre-health graduate programs. And then things start to vary with a few of the like non-STEM requirements as well as upper division requirements. But a lot of the, like Irma was saying, a lot of the upper division biology requirements can be satisfied with all of these majors. So I will share this in an email sent to the whole college, along with the recording and the presentation so that you have this information accessible to you. So yeah, just to show that you can pursue many different Rausser majors and pursue many different pre-health career options. So I'll stop sharing now and get back to questions. Irma, one question was if you could speak a little bit more to pre-optometry. I think there are some pre-optometry students or interested students in this info session.
Yeah, pre-optometry is something that we have all the information on our webpage as far as the requirements. There are no real shadowing required hours for optometry. They do like it if you have spent some time shadowing an optometrist. One thing I encourage you is to join Foresight, which is the pre-optometry group on campus. They have a very strong relationship with the optometry school on campus. RD Sarmiento is the admissions director at the School of Optometry who meets with them quite regularly. The School of Optometry just had an open house for Berkeley students on, is it September 9th, which was a Saturday. They really want students from Berkeley to apply to their school, and he is willing. His name is ARDI Sarmiento. He is willing to meet with students and talk about, the possibility to of your requirements, what's required, what courses you're taking. Their requirements for pre-optometry at Berkeley are a little different than other schools, but not by much. And again, encourage students interested in optometry, or any school actually is really looking. All schools have very specific requirements. And so thinking about 5 schools you may want to apply to in optometry, what do they all require? A lot of them require the same things, but there may be some nuances to each. And again, it's they really want students from Berkeley to apply, and Foresight does a lot of different like OptoCamp with them. They have some conferences that they do with Foresight, and I think Foresight does charge like dues to belong or to be part of the club, but it's worth it in the end.
Cool, thank you, Irma. Any other questions? Should pre-med students take anatomy? It's not a med school requirement, and some students find this course difficult. Is it strategically wise to take this course as an undergrad?
It really depends on the bandwidth that you have in your curriculum or in your planning. It is a difficult course. You will have it the first year of med school. That's why it's not required, because you will have it the whole entire first year of medical school will be anatomy. You'll be in an anatomy lab. So some people feel a little bit more sure of themselves in med school having taken it in undergrad, but again, it's not required. So if you can fit it in your schedule and you find that it's useful and you can do well in it, why not? Doesn't hurt.
Awesome. One more came in. Can you speak on the science GPA calculated for med school? Do the other programs calculate this as well? which classes go into this science GPA?
It's funny, I had a note to talk about that because this is a big Rausser question. So, dentistry, medicine, physician's assistant, and I believe physical therapy, and veterinary medicine all calculate the science GPA and overall GPA. For science GPA, it's pretty basic. Anything math, biology, chemistry, and physics related will be calculated into your science GPA. Where it gets a little dicey here with Rausser students is nutritional science, for example, is by all means a science. However, the AAMC may not consider it a science. You don't know that right off the bat. I don't know that. I always try to follow up with students that have been nutritional science majors to get that information. I've never been able to get it. The AAMC, you can check something off when you put together your application. You list the course. You could check off that's a science, but it may come back when it's calculated that they didn't calculate that as a science. So again, it's their discretion. You can always call up the AAMC and ask them if that particular course is considered a science. Same with MEB courses. It's up in the air whether they will consider those a science or not. Up till this year, so Data 8 is a real popular stats course our students take. It was not considered a science, but this year they made it a science. So now that's a science. There are other courses that have taken a while for the AAMC to really respond to and say, yes, this is a science and calculated within that science curriculum. But again, each, whether it's the AAMC or the AAMDEA for the dental programs, pharmacy programs, they all have different calculations. And you can designate something a science, doesn't mean that it will be determined to be a science by that particular organization. I hope that that's clear, but it's very unclear and muddy, the waters. I don't know how to make it clearer.
No, thank you. That was really helpful. And for any of my NSC students, please do not feel like you have to jump ship and switch majors. Many of my students still pursue pre-med, but that is something to keep in mind, just like the way that you would transcribe your classes. So thanks so much for that information, Irma. We have about 7 minutes left, so maybe 1 or 2 more questions left. If anyone, you can send into the chat or you can come off of mute, whatever you feel most comfortable with. And just in case anyone is typing questions, yes, like Irma had said, there is in-person pre-health advising on Tuesdays from, where did
1:30?
From 1:30 to 3:30. Yes, thank you. And it's right next to my office. So for NST students, if you ever want to see both of us, that's a great way to do that.
And I'm going to try to find out about the nutritional science courses. I have someone in medical school right now that was a NutriSci major. I'm hoping I can get that information. And when students submit their application and they go through the process of applying to medical school, I could reach out to them. I sometimes don't get a response.
Yeah. Any information you can gather is great. And this is just more to hype up pre-health advising, that they do so much to get information for all of you on how to help you get to your pre-health career paths.
Yeah, we want you all to succeed and do well and do what you want to do and pursue your goals.
Does class Chem 1B exist? Yes, Chem 1B is offered every spring, I believe.
Yeah. Many students wait until senior year to take that class. Don't ask me why. But yeah, if you're going to dental school, pharmacy school, veterinary school, anything but medicine, you would have to incorporate Chem 1B into your schedule.
Senior year, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, is this another question? Over the summer, do you recommend sophomores to pursue research or volunteering positions in hospitals?
Really depends on what you want to do. If you have a research opportunity and you don't have a volunteer activity or a hospital activity that you can do, things happen and work out for a reason. You could always do both. If you wanted to do research during the week and volunteer once a week at a hospital, that's great too. Many students do things like that, and they do a variety of things. Do the things that you enjoy.
Awesome, thank you. We have about 4 minutes left. If anyone else has any questions, feel free to come off of mute or share it in the chat. Does Chem 4 series and 12 series also satisfy the requirement?
Yes, they do. So Chem 4 would be like Chem 1A, 12A and 12B, or Chem 3 and 3B. If that's for medicine, that's all you really need, aside from another biochem course. And with chemistry, there are different biochem courses or engineering that you can take. If it is for a dental, pharmacy, or any other program, then you would add Chem 4B as well. So again, the full year of general chemistry.
Any other questions? Awesome.
You're welcome.
Well, I have a question, so I will selfishly ask. So if students have satisfied the first half of English with high school equivalency exams, and there's the recommendation to take 2 semesters of English. If they don't want to retake R1A, are there other English classes that they can take at UC Berkeley?
Yeah, they can take anything in the English or rhetoric department.
Anything, lower division, upper division?
Comparative lit, the classics, I don't know, whatever. What medical schools want to see is the fact that students have done a lot of writing and reading. Some schools back east do not accept AP for English, and they do require 1 full year. There are about maybe 5 schools that I can think of where that's the case. None of them here in California. They're all mostly back east.
Okay.
Cornell, Mount Sinai, a couple other ones.
Oh, thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, everyone, we are wrapping up on our last less than 60 seconds. Is there one last burning question anyone wants to ask?
Well, thank you, Jay.
Yeah, thank you, Irma, so much for presenting to our students. And thank you all of you for showing up.
Yeah, and anytime you have a question, do not hesitate to reach out to us. I thought I had a slide with that, but I don't. This is the general pre-health email that you can reach myself or Hugo, who's my colleague, and Joe Scullion, who's also a colleague and is there part-time.
So thank you so much. Have a great
You're
evening,
welcome.
everyone.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks, Jay.
Thank you.